This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here today recording live and direct from the wonderful Beaver Valley in Ontario and speaking with my old good friend, Mr. Jimson Bienenstock. I never say that properly.
No, you did a great job.
I did a good job. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
no, I'm proud.
Jimson has been one of our Old Bastard Sommelier and has been around the block, a veteran of the industry. I hope you don't mind me saying that about you.
No, I'm an old bastard and a veteran. Yeah.
And Jimson has the much lauded coffee spot, Hot Black, down on Queen West. Now, my first question for you. Your Queen West coffee spot, Hot Black. How much of your traffic pre-pandemic came from residential and how much from people who were coming into the downtown core to work?
I guess I didn't really know pre-pandemic because it was just kind of, there was just a bunch of customers, right? And being able to work out who was actually residential and who wasn't, we didn't find out until it was pandemic time. And so when the pandemic, we shut down originally at the very beginning of the pandemic and used that downtime to redo the floors and things because we just thought it was going to be a 2 or 3 week kind of, okay, we got to shut down for a little bit. So let's take advantage of the shutdown. Let's redo the floors. Let's redo the back counter. And then we reopened. And we reopened probably at 40% of what our sales were previously. So we lost immediately 60% of our sales. And so 60% of our clientele. And that, I guess, is indicative of how many people were not from the area.
Right. And what kind of procedures and processes did you put in place? How did you alter the setup to make it COVID safe, as they would say?
So how we did it was we were allowed to bring people inside. We thought it was best to not do so. So we changed the organization inside so that we would sell immediately out of the front door. So instead of anybody coming inside, they would stay outside. And we would stay inside, they stay outside. So there was no need for social distancing, plastic barriers, all that stuff, because they were out and we were in. I built a till on wheels and stuck it literally at the front door entrance. So it's physically not possible to get in or out of the building in the front. We chopped down our big harvest table by a few inches. We used to have a big shared table. It was about 8.5 feet long. It was ever so slightly too big. So we cut down the end and we put it sideways in the front window and used that for a display. So our front windows became a display, and that's what we did to reopen. We were down initially about 60%. It increased ever so slightly. We're probably down 40% now. And that's not really due to any increase in traffic. It's really because we flipped our product offering. And I don't really feel that there's much of an increase in the population coming to the place. It seems like we have financial guys across the street. We have Canada Life, we have Mackenzie Finance, we have the courts, we have the Law Society, all that stuff across the street, which are all the corporate guys. They're not back. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen a suit since March.
Wow.
There are no suits. I don't know, Jamie, now that you're retired in Beaver Valley, the quickest way across town now is to go through the downtown core.
Bloody hell. Wow.
You take a shortcut through Wellington and Yonge.
The streets that would normally be just jammed, right? So
jam-packed with people, you see more people with strollers and dogs than you do suits. There are no people downtown anymore.
And realistically, do you see that coming back?
No.
No,
no, I don't. Thinking, yeah. I think that the Path is a museum, and I think that office towers are a relic of the past.
And what's going to happen with all that real estate, and what does that do to the commercial real estate market?
I'm good with the past and the present, Jamie. Future is not my thing, but for me, the foreseeable future is that is gone. The one of the major difficulties is if you're only allowed 4 people per elevator, it's going to take a very, very long time to fill the building up. So where the elevators would be packed in the morning coming in, I know some people that work in security at one of the towers, and they're saying to me it was going to take an hour and 15 minutes with official staggered start times to fill the building now.
Because it would just become a logjam at the entrance to the elevators,
which they're not allowed to have. So you have to have staggered start times with a formal lineup. And if you missed your start time, then you go to the back of the queue kind of thing. And then they're unable to manage how people would leave for lunch. And then they have the same issue in reverse when it's time to leave the building at the end of the day, that you have to have staggered start times to finish. So what's the point almost in having a building where you're going to be meeting people and coming backwards and forwards and doing business lunches?
And perhaps adding 2 hours a day to your commute.
Absolutely. In an unsafe environment. So that's just filling the tower. But then there's the secondary issue, Jamie, of liability. So if you get sick at work, is it the building's fault? Did you catch it in the elevator? Did you catch it from bad management in the French copropriété in the communal spaces?
Yes, yeah.
And so who's responsible? Is it Cadillac Fairview responsible? Is it Allied responsible? Is it your employer that's responsible, forcing you? Let's say you get sick, and then it's quite easy to follow the mutation. And where did you get that from? And then your grandmother dies. Who's responsible for that? So there's a massive, massive liability issue, which I don't think has been addressed properly. And I have no confidence whatsoever that the towers are going to fill up again.
Now, you have quite a historied background in the restaurant industry.
Yes, sir.
We've gone over this so many times with different restaurateurs. What are your thoughts about how restaurants are going to move forward throughout this pandemic? And how on earth are they going to stay open?
I don't have an answer for you. I am very happy and lucky not to own a restaurant right now. It was just a touch of fate. I was supposed to be in the restaurant game, and I went for coffee instead. I don't have an answer for you. So I think it's very, very difficult. I don't think we're ever going to get back to normal. I think there's going to be a new normal, which will morph over the years, but I don't have an answer for you. I'm not feeling good about the restaurant business.
Do you have any wish yourself to be in a restaurant, given the current mitigation of pathogen that would be going on in said restaurant?
I have not been to a restaurant.
Right.
Since
I'm still very, very unsure about that. As much as I love my friends who have restaurants, it would take a great change in my psyche to have me going indoors to eat right now.
Well, I also feel unhappy that the staff are obliged to wear masks, but the customers don't. I don't feel good at it from an employee point of view.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
And because the employees are wearing non-medical masks, which in theory protect other people, as opposed to wearing an N95, which protects yourself. And so here I am, a staff, wearing a mask to protect other people, but my customers are not. And I wouldn't feel good for the staff. And I don't like that well, it depends on which hat I'm wearing, but I don't like the fact that we as customers are under a different health regime than we as employees.
Yeah, good point.
And I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about having to touch plates and cutlery. I wouldn't personally feel good about cleaning washrooms. And I wouldn't want to subject myself or my staff to that, which I think takes us back to the coffee shop. And I'm very happy that we are not letting people inside, and which means that we've gone cashless, contactless. We wash the screens. We've changed from Touch Bistro with Moneris, where you have to
Yes.
touch stuff to a tap only. And even though there's a tap, there is a tap thing, but we're wiping it down every time with the disinfectant. We don't take cash anymore, because cash means that we have to have change, which means we have to have physical contact. Not because we want to discriminate against anyone, but far from it. We just want to keep everybody safe. We are able to open indoors now and let people come in. I don't feel great about it at the hot black thing. And I think I've opened another space too, where we're letting people inside, but only in a takeaway environment, not in a sit-down environment.
Have you had to deal with many COVIDiots, as they are called? Have you had any people who have been egregiously ignoring any kind of social distancing and the like?
Yeah, but at the same time, we're in a fortunate position in that we don't let people inside.
Right.
So by not letting people inside, we don't have people come in shouting and screaming, because
I'm just thinking about
on
on your expanded patio there at the front.
We don't have an extended patio outside.
Oh, excuse my ignorance.
Yeah, we don't do that on Queen Street. No, outside is outside.
I
No,
thought I saw a
outside is
picture.
no.
Sorry, I thought I saw a picture in your Instagram of some.
Oh, I have kind of a patio on Yonge Street, but nothing on Queen Street. But it's not even a patio on Queen Street, on Yonge Street. I'm sorry. On Queen Street, we do not have a patio. We do not have anything. People line up outside, they order, and then they go.
So it's basically a counter service only.
It's exactly what it is.
Right. Sorry, I was looking at your Instagram and was confused about which property was which property.
Completely. Well, we can talk about Yonge Street in a second, but so we're continuing to isolate the outside from inside. I'm convinced that the inside is part of the bubble, or whatever you want to call it. But they're wearing masks all the time inside as well, and we do. Well, if you've done your food handling certificate, I mean, that plus masks and not letting any staff in, not letting any customers inside, there shouldn't be a hygiene issue. The only other issue would be deliveries. But we backdoor only delivery. We make sure they have to knock beforehand. They leave the stuff outside. We have a log, anyone that comes inside, so traceability, etc. We make people wash their hands when they come in to try and isolate the delivery component. But we have a little patio in the back of Queen Street, but we haven't opened it.
Right.
We haven't opened it because we don't like the idea of people being there, that we would have to sanitize. How do you sanitize a picnic table? I don't even know. And then we would be having to provide washrooms. So for all of those reasons, we've just kept it as it is. And yes, for sure, there are COVIDiots in the street. We've had people swear and scream at us that we're not prepared to take cash. We've had people not respecting the distancing in the lineups outside, trying to push in, that sort of thing. But it's been pretty good. But at the same time, we haven't really given them an opportunity to be stupid inside.
Right. Now, you mentioned your other property. It's quite an unusual thing to do, to expand during a pandemic. But please tell us the story behind what you're doing up on Yonge Street, up near Davisville.
Well, I met the owner of a building, and he had a good guy, and he had a standalone building which had open frontage on Yonge Street, 1993 Yonge Street, just north of Davisville on the east side. Highly residential area, with a little bit of walk by, small commerce, and where we thought we were suffering in Queen Street would be an opportunity in a residential area. because where we were focused on people, no, I mean, not just focused on people working, but, the OCAD, the students, the faculty, the residents, we had a real cosmopolitan mix
Yes,
at
yeah.
Queen Street, and we've lost all the educational faculty, the students, and the people that work in the area. So let's focus on an area instead, which is primarily residential. Because if people are now working from home, then where originally it may not be a good market for us, purely residential means you get a little blip in the morning as they go to work, and then not a
Yeah.
lot. What we thought was that it would be more spread out, which turned out to be. So we don't get this massive hit at kind of 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning anymore. It's kind of spread out, which allows us to manage staffing
Yeah.
levels better. It allows us to manage the wait times better. And we saw it as a hedge to what we'd lost at Queen Street.
Yeah.
We did it in exactly the same way as in Queen Street, in that because we've got the glass doors which open up, we're able to, I built everything on wheels just as a pop-up, built everything on wheels. So again, we're inside and the customers are outside, 100%. Zero interaction indoors. We do not provide washrooms. We do not have anyone come into the space. We're just considering what we may eventually do going through the winter. But that's, we'll cross that bridge a little bit later, maybe in the interview, but certainly for us, we haven't decided what to do yet. So people are strictly inside as staff, and people are strictly outside as customers. What we did do is we had the BIA on Yonge Street allowed us to get one of the lanes on Yonge Street as a patio. The difficulty is if we start to provide that as a patio space, then we need to provide washrooms, and we need to sanitize the tables, and we need to also have a record of everybody arriving and leaving. And it meant that we would be in a restaurant environment, compromising what I thought was the integrity of our hygiene in terms of the staff and potentially as far as the customers are concerned. So what I did instead of building a patio, you're allowed to build a wall. So I built a wall which is bum height. And so there's a wall in wood, which is bum height. And by being bum height, it's not a table. You don't put your drinks down on it, you put your bum on. And people are welcome, not just from our coffee shop, welcome from the neighborhood just to sit down and use it as a bench. So by using it as a bench, you can just come and go. There's no hygiene issues. We do not clean the tables. There's no tables to clean. The bench is in kind of a U shape, so that the U's are 2 meters apart. So if you are sitting down, then by definition, you're socially distanced enough from other people. So able to sit down. You're not allowed to provide standing like a bar. That's legislation locally. So because that encourages people to walk around and do the socially interaction thing. So we didn't do it counter height like we would normally do it. I just did it bum height. And that's working. So people can come with their strollers, come with their dogs, just do a little blah, blah socially, but it in no way is it what would be called a patio in a traditional sense.
Speaking of those patios which have sprouted up all across the city, I was driving down Queen Street the other day, and I was wondering about the proximity of some of those diners to traffic. Have you had any concerns about that?
I wouldn't want to. They're within 30 centimeters.
Yes, exactly.
Your elbow. You drop your napkin and lean over. You get your arm taken out by a bus. You know.
I think it's an accident waiting to happen. I know there was a car smashed into Chanticleer. Yes, just the other day. Yeah.
It's people are stupid, right? And drive stupidly, and the signage isn't amazing. And it may be okay in certain environments, but I can't hear anything either. Being on the, trying to talk to someone on the, if I'm sitting on the patio doing an interview or something for, interviewing staff or whatever, I can't hear what they're saying.
Right.
With all the Yonge Street traffic going backwards
Mm.
and forwards. It's actually the same on Queen Street. I don't know. I wouldn't find that a pleasant experience. The dust is really terrible. If I were, trying to eat, something delicious from Bar Isabel on the patio, I mean, wouldn't you get kind of dusty, road stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Motorcycles driving by and blam, blam, blam. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's not my thing.
Going back to something you mentioned earlier, you said that you had changed the offerings down at Hot
Oh,
Black,
yes.
and you've obviously opened this new place up on Yonge Street. So you're looking at a kind of deli situation with alcohol as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So since we weren't able to increase where we were pre-pandemic, we were saturated just doing basically coffees and pastries and stuff,
Yeah.
and we were flat out doing that, and we were specialized in that stuff and some alternative beverages, chocolates and teas and some special things that we did. But we just simply weren't able to be busy enough with our previous offering. And since we weren't able to expand the customer base, because all the Monday to Fridays, the businessy guys, the shopping people, the and tourists too, zero
Of course,
tourists, they're all gone. Even Canadian tourists, they're not there anymore either. Let alone the international ones, which were quite a significant portion of what we did. So why don't we try to offer what alternative products retail for the customer base that is there?
yeah.
And since it was primarily residential, and I think that we share a loathing of the offering at the LCBO, we were able to start doing takeaway alcohol. So focus on local, focus on natural, focus on wines which are A, terrific, and B, not available in the LCBO. So I dusted off the old sommelier notebook and from the old days, and stacked it with just some of my kind of preferred wines, what I like.
Now, what with most restaurants ostensibly turning into bottle shops, what do you
Yeah.
feel is a fair markup on wines purchased from the consignment warehouse?
Well, we never sold the wines as a restaurant markup anyway. We have an alcohol license, and the only reason that we had that was to be able to sell a little bit of mulled wine just for fun around the campfire in the back, and also for events at nighttime.
Of course.
So we were using the alcohol license primarily for events. So we never really, it's not like we had a $40 bottle of wine that we bought and we sold it for whatever, 100. We were never in that situation. We would sell a $40 cost at the moment for probably 55, 60, a retail margin and not a restaurant margin. We feel that that's a good compromise. We're not selling any value-added anything. We're simply selling a bottle to take away. We don't want people to have an experience where they're feeling like they're being ripped off.
Of course, yeah.
There is no service. We're selling a cookie with it or something because we have to do takeaway food with the alcohol. But the knowledge that we're giving, I think, is the value added for the, call it 25%, 30% that we're putting on it, maybe 40% depending on the wine. And the value added that we're providing is by giving them a vehicle to be able to buy stuff that they wouldn't be able to have normally.
Yes, yeah.
So direct winery from Ontario, or consignment wines. And I focus on, like I kind of always do, the natural, biodynamic, low intervention minimalist wines made by good people, artisanal and low volumes. So that's really our niche. There's an LCBO just up the street, but we by definition would never carry anything that they have. So the margins are low. So we start at, we have to charge HST. So we charge net of HST, the entry level is $26, and we're selling a surprising amount of more expensive wines. I've just ordered another case of the 2013 Brunello from Donatella Cinelli Colombini.
Oh, yeah.
From
Great one. Yeah.
Bernard. So we're selling that that costs us $76, and we're selling it at 110.
Well,
So not reasonable. Hard to find wines. We're selling some Occhipinti. People see the Occhipinti and go, "Holy shit, Occhipinti!" We're selling Paul Morissette. He's got his own following, and so we're able to satisfy Toronto demand for a good local winery that's got a cult following. Cult following being important to us because then we're not really selling it. People walk by, see the bottle, go, "Holy shit," and then buy it. Same with the Occhipinti or Donatella or something. So that we did. That's been a significant part. So that's an upsell. Someone comes in for a coffee and they leave with a bottle,
yeah,
$25 bottle of wine. That's helping.
indeed.
We're also selling cheeses from primarily the Upper Canada Cheese Company in Niagara when I go to pick up the wines. So we pick up the wines, do the tour. I'm selling Niagara habanero hot sauce. Who knew that some of the finest hot peppers in the world come from the northern shore of Lake Erie?
I did not know this. Okay.
Amazing, dude. And so I have jalapeno, habanero, Scotch bonnet, ghost, scorpion. I've forgotten one. So I have 6 lineups of hot sauce. We're one of the biggest customers for this lovely couple from Trinidad who live in Beamsville. So we're selling a bunch of hot sauce. I'm also selling from Pickles A in Stratford. I'm selling a ton of local pickled stuff, pickled carrots, pickled garlic, funnily enough, pickled beets, pickled golden beets, classic kind of butter pickles. We're selling their chutneys, we're selling their jams. We sell from Innisfil. There's a fantastic apple cider manufacturer, 100% organic. We're getting Avalon Orchards. We're getting selling that. We're selling, because we had a pandemic distribution disaster. I started driving to Beaton, just southwest of Barrie, to K2 Mills, and to buy our own flour. We couldn't get our own pastries. We couldn't make our own bread anymore. So fuck it. Drove to the mill, and if anything, that's been a hugely positive thing for us. It allows us to, instead of going through a middleman, we go directly to the manufacturer, the mill. We get personal contact with the miller himself, who says, "Ooh, you should try this." And I didn't know that there was like a terroir with flour. It's amazing. This field tastes different from this field, which tastes different from this field. So now we're doing an 80% blend of one type called Dave Black, a white bread flour, and then we're with 20% of a red Fife, which is also just around the corner there. Amazing. It's lifted the quality of our pastries and our breads. And he's also introduced us to, he introduced me to the apple people. He also introduced me to Tradition Miso in Claremont, Ontario, that make the most amazing soy sauce. Amazing. Okay. Out of local organic barley. It's so cool. So this has allowed us to do really cool products that you would not normally be able to get in Toronto easily. It also drives local, which we genuinely believe in.
Of course.
It also cuts out the middleman. And so the producers themselves are making more money. Instead of selling to the middleman, they're selling to us directly, so they don't lose a cut. We're paying less than we would to the middleman, and the cost of us, or me, driving around picking up stuff more than outweighs the cost that we used to do through a middleman. So,
and it gets you out the house as well.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing. And although I'm actually pretty busy doing my coffee shop stuff, I've been working harder for less than I think I ever have.
I think that's the same across the board, Jimson, to
Yeah,
be quite honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And so as we try to in the hospitality game, there are some people, if you're in a different game, if you're looking for tech and online sales and stuff, it's the best thing that ever
Oh
happened,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
For us, it's a different story, and I think everyone in our game, with one of my problems with Queen Street is that it's not the path where we would just be closed, and it's not residential. I'm kind of
Mm,
right on that
yeah, I understand.
really tricky spot, where we're kind of okay, but we don't know about the future. The loss, if we were to lose the wine sales, because at the moment the legislation only allows us to sell wine until the 31st of December this year.
Oh, okay.
So I can't plan for the first week in January yet. Should I be bringing in inventory? Should I be expanding it? I would love to make it even more European, sliced meats, cheeses. Oh, we're doing a meat thing as well, directly with the butcher shop. But the go more of a European style. It's not just a coffee shop. It's more of a lifestyle, local shop.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe we'll make it, but I don't know. I just don't know if we'll make it on Queen Street. The rent subsidies, in theory, we're going to finish on the 1st of September. They extended it to the 1st of October now. That's a difference of $13,000 to me in a
Yes.
month.
Yes. Yeah.
So instead of paying 13,500, we pay 800, and that's the difference between that and wage subsidies. That's the difference between us keeping the doors open and closing right now. We're deferring taxes, which is great, but all that means is a bigger hole at the end.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And so yes, we're able to survive at a cash flow level. The Yonge Street operation is working and subsidizing what's going on Queen Street. But should we carry on Queen Street? I don't know. At some point, we're going to have to make a decision. It's like, I don't know, it's like it's quite all right. It's one of my colleagues here. And it's like that thing, I don't know if you know, if you drop a frog in boiling water, it'll jump out. If you drop a frog in cold water and then slowly increase the temperature, the frog will cook.
I've never done this myself, and
I've never done it, but
right.
I don't eat frog whole generally. And I've seen the videos; it seems to work. But I think that the difficulty with this is I feel like I'm being cooked slowly.
Right.
And
Yep.
and if this just dropped on me today, there's no way on earth I would open on 245 Queen West, because it just can't support the level of activity that we need to survive in normal market conditions. So I kind of wished almost that we were in the path and then it's cut and dry. We just
Right. Yeah.
This is a very stressful time. We just don't know. We can't plan. We're getting deeper into the long-term hole. I've got 15 years left on the lease. I don't know what to do.
Oh boy. Well, I do appreciate you taking time out of your day to speak with us today. That was definitely a longer interview than I had anticipated. But
I'm sorry about that. But
no. You always have such wonderful sage wisdom to share. So it's. I do wish you all the best with both of your locations. It's great to see your face, hear your voice, and we shall raise a glass of wine together at some point in the future.
And in the meantime, let's have a tea. Nice.
Yes, tea. Yes.
Cheers, Jamie.
Thank you. Take care, Jimson.
Bye.